Good morning. Today we will start next topic. The topic name is characterization of trans. We already discussed what is transgenic. So when any animal or any organism which is having the trans gene, the foreign gene, so we are calling transgenic animal. So, transgenic animal or modified organism, it may be a bacteria to higher organism. So, any type of organism we can able to transform is into the transgenic animal. So, transgenic animal basically those animal or organism which can able to have fiber or which can able to have the transgene. Okay, so basically transgene is a type of genes which is the foreign origin. So if you will see the transgenic plants, it will refer to which carry a foreign genes. So suppose a gene which is isolated from the bacteria or fungi, and if you are transferring into the plant, we are calling transgenic. So new plant which is having a foreign gene which is expressing as a new character, we are calling transgenic. So we develop these transgenic plants from various purposes. We want to improve the nutritional quality of the plant. So some plants which have very less type of or some particular type of vitamin it don't have. So these type of will put the specific sequences which can able to synthesize those amino acids and proteins. So nutritional quality will be increased of the particular crop. So with this we can increase the quality of the type and we can able to have the golden type of rice. The golden rice variety is produced through the transgenics and we transfer the particular type of protein. This protein can able to able to synthesize the particular type of vitamins and the vitamin is which is not the part of basically the rice and after that it will synthesize into the into the rice so that when it will synthesize into the rice the color of the rice will be golden color and that's why we are calling golden rice. Now, sometime if we want to produce the uh, insect or pest resistance variety, so insect resistance variety or we can say pest resistance variety, we can produce through when the gene which is pest resistancy and insect resistant, we can able to transfer into the plant varieties. So the plant automatically will be insect or pest resistant. So like that we synthesize BT cotton and BT gene we transferred from uh, Bacillus thuringiensis to the cotton varieties. So now we have Bacillus thuringiensis cotton variety. This BT genes is expressing inside the cotton variety so that the transgenic cotton variety is resistant against some pest. Then third type of application is herbicide tolerance. So many varieties with transgenic varieties like soybean and they are not affected by the herbicide. And it is a global problem that many weeds when we are cultivating a particular type of variety or crop, they will grow with the crop and they will disturb the production of the particular crop. So when we want to really when we want to really remove these weeds from the field, and so releasing by manual methods is just very hard. Now what is there? We scientists prepare various type of herbicides. These herbicides which we can spread using the mechanical methods or any manual methods and when these herbicides is sprayed on the crop so that the weeds will clear from the field. So these herbicides, when we will spraying on the crops, what will happen? They can able to clean on the weeds only, and other type of useful crop they will not be like. So the varieties which is herbicide resistant, then only they only can able to survive. And other varieties which don't have like weeds and unwanted plants, they don't have resistance, they can't able to survive in the field and they will die immediately. So like that, transgenic soybean against glyphosate we produce, and glyphosate is a herbicide, and these herbicides variety like soybean variety we produce, and it is a herbicide resistance variety. And when we are spreading and we are spraying these glyphosate in the field, and your so transgenic soybean variety also growing, so your transgenic soybean will not be affected by this glyphosate, but other weeds which is growing with this transgenic soybean, they will die by this glyphosate. So it is a very good example of herbicide tolerant varieties. Then next is some wild resistance varieties also we develop, and in that case we develop the tobacco mosaic virus resistance variety. So tobacco mosaic virus resistance variety uh, is a variety where the tobacco mosaic virus can't able to infect the some plants, and those in varieties we are calling virus resistance varieties. So for the resistance against the disease, we produce transgenic potatoes, and these transgenic potatoes is resistance against the lead blind disease. So many applications is there with the transgenic varieties. Then next is the how we can able to transfer these important genes to produce the transgenic variety. So two method we know: direct gene transfer method and indirect gene transfer method. Direct gene transfer method, directly we are using physical methods to transfer the genes. So bioelastic or method is there, electroporation is there, then laser mediated, liposome mediated method is there, and chemical methods also there. So without using any vector, we are transferring the gene from outside to inside. So physical methods and chemical methods is type of those in the direct method. Then indirect method we are using the vectors, and we are inserting our gene of interest into the vector. Then vector can able to transfer gene of interest into the plant. So example is agrobacterium mediated gene transfer is there. Then why we have to analyze the gene? So the analysis of the transgenic plants give a confirmation that the gene of the interest is present in the transgenic. So we have to use the screenable markers and selectable markers. These screenable and selectable marker if we are having into the transgenic plant. So transgenic plants can be screened and we will select only those plant which is having our DNA. So when like that mechanism we can use, so easily we can pick any cell, and those cells only can able to use for the production of the transgenic plant. So in if it is present, if our transgene is present, then we can confirmly say that the transgene is successfully integrated into the host genome. Otherwise what will happen, your gene if not coming to the selectable marker or screenable marker, so you can't able to confirm and you can't say confirmly. So screenable and selectable marker you can utilize with your gene of interest, so that later on you can select from the group of cells, and some cells which don't have your transgene, some cells which is having transgene, you can easily distinguish with them. Okay, so number of cells or number of sites also transgene can be integrated, and the site where the gene is integrated with the genome, you can easily distinguish or you can easily determine the sites. So if you will see the genome of the plant or any organism, it is very large size. So higher organism they are having very large type of genome. The more base pairs is there, and you don't know which site the transgene is integrated. So transgene site where it is integrated, or you can determine by using the restriction endonuclease. Now, the number of copies of the transgene also very important factors. If more number of copies, if we can able to transfer into the gene, so the expression level will be the more. If more number of copies will be transferred into the nucleus, then it can able to produce more number of protein. So transgenic plant which is having more number of copies or less number of copies is very important. So copy number of the transgene, when it is increasing, the expression level will be increased, and the resistance, if you will give a, like, if you will not do example, so resistance will increase. If the low number of copies is there, then these low number of copies can't able to produce a specific type of protein, and it can't able to give the resistance. That's why these copy number is very important. Then transgene transcription and its level we have to detect. When we are detecting happening inside the cell, or and what is its level, means transcription is happening in the higher level, so the ultimately our functional protein can able to produce. If transcription level is low, then your translation will be low. Translation level will be low, and your functional protein production will be low. Then how the transgenic protein will be encoded and it will be functional. That is another thing. And when the functional protein is synthesizing in the sufficient quantity, then only it will do particular function. Then how we can analyze the transgenic. So we have PCR, southern blotting, northern blotting, western blotting, ELISA, and strip test is there. So these techniques is there, and these techniques are using different biomolecules. So using PCR and southern blotting, we can extract the DNA, and we can analyze whether our gene of interest is there, and it is successfully integrated into the host genome or not. So gene of interest, it is there or not, or successfully integrated through PCR, we can easily determine. Just we have to isolate the host genome, and we have to run the primer, and those primer, when it will replicate, if it is there, it is successfully polymerizing through PCR, then we can say the host is having our transfer. Then southern blotting also there, we can load the entire DNA into the nitrocellulose, and then we can use the small primers, and if those small primers can able to attach the specific sequences of your transgene, so the your gene of interest is successfully transformed. Okay, and next technique is northern blotting. Through northern blotting, we can able to detect whether mRNA is synthesizing or what type of, and the quantitatively wise also you can detect, and qualitatively wise also you can detect the RNA level in the cells. Okay, then Western blotting also there, and the Western blotting you can able to detect the protein level inside the inside the solution. So protein level in the when you are taking the cytoplasm, and how much protein is synthesizing, you can able to detect a specific type of protein. Because transgenic protein is different, so you know the sequences of the protein. So easily you can use the Western blot or ELISA strip and strip test to detect the concentration of the transgenic protein. So one by one we will discuss how these techniques can be utilized into the transgenic and transgenic gene detection, transgenic level of expression detection. So first thing is the polymerase chain reaction or PCR. So PCR we can use to detect the gene of interest whether it is successfully transformed or not. So first we have to prepare the primer, and that primer we have to design according to transgenic DNA sequences. When we are transferring these transgenic sequences, and whether it is successfully transformed or not, we can easily detect through the PCR technique. So the primer which is can able to find only the specific region of the forward and reverse strand of the transgene that we have to produce, and when we are transferring these forward and reverse type of transgenic, they can able to bind, and when it will start replicating, so only the our transgene will replicate, and when it will be replicate, then it can able to produce only our gene of interest, then remaining part it will not replicate. So in using this PCR technique we can able to replicate our specific DNA portion, and we can able to determine that our gene of interest is synthesized or not. So the DNA known transform plant, and also we can able to take as a negative control, and positive cells which is having our gene of interest we can able to take. So two type of sample we can take, the one sample which is having DNA with gene of interest, and another sample which don't have gene of interest. So PCR, which it will not give the how many number of copies will be there when you are replicating through PCR. You will not be able to know the number of copies present. So total amount of DNA you can able to determine whether the total number of DNA is present or not. But how many genes will be integrated using PCR, you can't able to determine. So here how the PCR running. First, if suppose this is a DNA sequence which we isolated from the plant or animal, which we have to form double stranded, you have to break down these hydrogen bonding in between the nucleotide using the high temperature. So when first step is denaturation. So through denaturation we will form double-stranded to single-stranded DNA, and the nucleotide bond between these two nucleotide AT and GC double bond and triple bond will be broke when we will put on the 94 degrees centigrade. Then second step, whatever primer we produce, those primer we will mix, and these primer can able to bind the single stranded DNA. If suppose your gene of interest is there, then these primer can able to bind. If suppose your gene of interest is not there, these primer can't able to bind. So when primer is binding, we are calling annealing. So primer annealing can happen only 50 to 54 temperature, low temperature. So first step on denaturation 94 degrees centigrade, then primer annealing from 50 to 45 degrees centigrade. So reverse and forward primer can able to attach on the both strand. Now the polymerization using tag DNA polymerase is there, and this nucleotide can able to polymerize on the existing strand. So we are calling extension. So in 2 minutes or 2 to 3, depend on the size of the gene. If your gene is very small, then it will take less time. If your gene is very long, then it will take little bit more time. So tech DNA polymerase we can use in the PCR, so the polymerization speed is very fast. So it will finish the polymerization within 2 to 3 minutes. So the temperature will we have to put in 72 degrees. Then again the first step will be start. So this cycle will be repeat again and again. And if you have one DNA strand, so after the first cycle it will be two DNA strand, and after the second cycle it will be four DNA. So like that, every cycle it will be double. Okay, so this is how the PCR cycle is running. Then next, southern blotting is a technique where we can identify specific DNA whether it is present in the genome. So when we are transferring the gene, whether it is successfully integrated or not. So using southern blotting technique, also we can get it. So positive control we can use southern blotting. Sometime if you want to confirm it whether the maybe sometimes the PCR can't able to give proper result, so you can use the southern blotting. So what you have to do, you have to isolate the entire genomic DNA, and if your gene of interest is there into the DNA, you have to use the restriction enzyme. When you will digest the restriction enzyme, the genomic DNA, so restriction enzyme digest the DNA into the small pieces. These small pieces you have to treat with the NOH, so that it will convert into the single stranded DNA. This is a very important step because you have single stranded DNA, so that you can able to bind the single stranded DNA to any type of primer. Otherwise, if you will not treat with the NOS, so double stranded DNA will be there, and the primer can't able to any type of primer can't able to bind. Okay, then you have to separate it using electrophoresis. So different sizes of single stranded DNA will be there, and these single stranded DNA will be separated on their size. And these single stranded DNA can be used blotting technique to separate it. Okay, then after the blotting on the nitrocellulose membrane, you have to hybridize with the specific type of DNA probe. This DNA probe is nothing but a primer, and if suppose you want to detect whether your gene is there or not so according to gene sequence, you have to synthesize the primer, and these primers can able to bind on the single stranded DNA. And when suppose it is binded, and we are detecting through autoradiography, yes, it is binded. So we can say our gene of interest is there. And suppose it is not hybridized with the single stranded DNA, and after autoradiography or fluorescein detection, you can't able to see any result, then you can say the gene is not integrated into the uh, genome of the plant or animal. Then next technique is northern blotting. So northern blotting, we can able to detect whether transgenic messenger RNA is present in the cytoplasm or not. So northern blotting, we can able to detect the mRNA is present in the cytoplasm or not. When we have to do when the transgenic genes will be expressed as a protein. So transcription, if it is there, and through transcription, that transgene can able to produce mRNA. So mRNA we are detecting into the cytoplasm. So first, what we have to do, what we have to do, we have to isolate entire population of the entire quantity of the mRNA which is present into the cell. Okay, and should not be degraded. If it is degraded, then we can't able to know which type of mRNA it is there. Then we will use the agarose gel electrophoresis to separate it each type of mRNA, and we will transfer those type of mRNA, those all mRNA on the nitrocellulose membrane. Okay, then we will use the a specific mRNA probe, and we read to the mRNA. And when this mRNA probe can able to bind with the transgenic mRNA, and so what will happen? It will hybridize with the mRNA only. If it is hybridizing and radiography and fluorescent we can detect it, so that we can confirmly say that our gene of interest is expressing. Okay, here we are detecting only mRNA. We are not detecting DNA. We are isolating total population of mRNA. We are separating on the gel electrophoresis, and then those separated mRNA we are transferring on the nitrocellulose membrane or nylon fiber membrane. Then we are using a probe, radio label probe or fluorescent label probe to detect whether our mRNA interest, particular transgenic mRNA is there or not. We can able to use the radio label probe. So here is the how the northern blotting we can able to perform. Then Western blotting. So through Western blotting we can able to detect the specific protein only. So here the protein we are detecting, and total number of protein with the mixture of the protein, including your transgenic protein also you have to extract it. And when you are extracting that protein, you have to separate it using SDS page. Then you have to transfer these separated protein on the nitrocellulose sheet. This technique we are calling Western blotting. So this Western blotting technique, we can transfer the entire protein present into the nitrocellulose membrane. So primary antibodies, which is specific to particular protein, and the transgenic specific primary antibody we can use to detect the whether our protein is there or not. So if it is binded with the sheet, then we can able to say that it is our gene of interest or transgenic protein is present. If it can't able to bind with the specific protein, then we can say the transgenic protein is not present in the solution. Next detection technique is real-time PCR or RT-PCR. So in RT-PCR, what we are doing, we are isolating the RNA from the tissue of the interest. For transgenic animal or plant tissue, we have to take and we will isolate the RNA from it, and then some contamination, DNA contamination, it may be there. So these DNA contamination is very necessary to remove it from the sample, and to reverse transcriptase enzyme, we will prepare cDNA copies from the mRNA. So PCR also done using the transgenic specific primer, and we can able to detect how much specific transgene will be synthesized or not. So when we are synthesizing the cDNA, we can able to detect interest is there, and we can make the cDNAs from the mRNA, and we can able to detect the transgenic specific primer. We can use the real-time PCR to detect quantity of the particular type of DNA, and RT-PCR uses fluorescence as an output for the DNA, which can be amplified in the real time. The amount of starting template like DNA or cDNA for RNA measurement is correlated with the CT number, and CT number, we if it is, we have to see if lower CT number is there, then we can say the more DNA will be there. If higher CT number is there, then we can say less amount of DNA will be there. So if your transgenic CT number is lower, then your DNA will be, your transgene will be more in the organism. So CT is the cycle number when a threshold amount of DNA is produced during the PCR experiment. So the fluorescence obtained allow us to know the presence of complementary DNA of the transgene. If fluorescence is not there, then we can say that the transgene of or cDNA of the transgene is not present in the center. Then another very important technique is ELISA. So ELISA based technique, we can able to produce antibodies, and those antibody we can able to detect the any specific type of protein. It may be a transgenic protein also. So ELISA full form is enzyme linked immunosorbent assay, and this assay sample solution predicted to contain a particular type of protein. This protein, against this protein, we are having the antibodies, and when we are using this antibody on a strip-based test. So a strip is having your antibodies, and when you will dip inside the solution which is having your protein. So protein can able to bind with the antibodies, and those protein and antibodies pair we can able to detect through the another type of antibodies, and those pair we can able to detect through the fluorescently labeled antibody probe, and when these antibody can probe can able to bind the with the pair, and they can emit the pair signals, and these signals can be visualized through eyes only. So through ELISA technique, we can easily detect a low amount of expression and high amount of expression. If high level of expression will be there, then our result will be more. If low level of amount of expression will be there, then the intensity of color will be less. So easily we can determine whether the gene expression, how much gene expression will be there, how what will be their level. The enzyme linked detection antibody will bind any protein already immobilized on the wall of the capture antibody. So after another round of washing, and you can able to detect whether the antibodies is bind or not. So unbounded antibody you can wash out. If your antibody is bounded with the antigen, then you can able to detect on the strip. So a color change when your antibody is bounded with the antigen, you can able to detect these pair formation, antigen antibody formation. You can detect in the color solution. So color change can able to confirm that your antibody attached to the antigen, and you can confirm it. So amount of change, if amount color changes is more, then you can say that the amount of the protein is more. If amount of color change is less, then you can say the amount of the color change is less. So the expression level also will be less. So here is the how ELISA is functioning. See, your antibodies is on the surface of the strip, test strip, and your antigen, if it is binded, this is the transgene protein. If it is binded with the antibodies, so we can detect unbounded. First, we have to wash out those unbounded protein. Then next step, we have to detect this antigen antibody reaction. So another antibody we have to use to detect the uh, antigen antibody complex. And this detector antibody is having a enzyme which can able to use a substrate, and it will produce a color reaction. So substrate can able to transfer into the color, and it will give a signal. And this signal we can able to receive, and we can able to generate the color, and we can detect that color very easily by naked eye itself. So if your color is less because of the less protein is present or less transgenic present, then what you have to do, you have to use some instrument for the like colorimetry is there, or spectrophotometer is there, or ELISA plate reader is there. See, this is the ELISA plate reader. So using spectrophotometer, we can able to detect low amount of integration of the antigen or antibody. So low amount of antigen antibody complex also we can detect in the ELISA plate. Now they are having some advantages, like it is more sensitive because small amount of protein also we can able to detect, and can detect even a small very nano amount of protein in the sample we can detect, because low expression of the protein can able to produce in low quantity, and those low quantity we can't able to see by the naked eye. So we can able to see very easily when we are using the using the ELISA plate reader. Okay, now they are having some disadvantage. It need to intact protein and good facilitate the laboratory facilities, laboratory facilities required, because if your gene of interest can able to produce a healthy protein or intact protein, then only you can able to detect part of the protein which is not antigenic or can't able to produce a antigen antibody complex, then you can't able to detect through ELISA plate reader. Then when you are doing this such type of experiment on the transgenic animal and detection using ELISA plate reader, you have to require a very good laboratory facilities. So this is how these transgenic animals and transgenic plants gene you can able to detect, and you can able to detect on various level. You can detect the DNA, you can detect the mRNA, you can detect the protein using the various advanced techniques. So these are all the disadvantages is there. Now we'll see some important question on this topic. So first question is transgenic plant with improved nutritional quality is, so you have some four option. A option is golden rice, B is BT cotton, C is glyphosate resistant soybean, D is TMB resistance tobacco. Then you have to choose any one correct option. Then second question is transgenic plant resistance to insect variety. So A option is golden rice, B option is BT cotton, C option is glyphosate resistant soybean, and D option is TMB resistant tobacco. So you have to choose any one correct answer. Then third question is transgenic plant with herbicide tolerances. A option is golden rice, B option is BT cotton, C option is glyphosate resistant soybean, and D option is TMB resistance tobacco. Then fourth question is transgenic plant with virus resistance is, A option is golden rice, B option is Bt cotton. C is glyphosate resistant soybean. D is TMV resistant tobacco. Then next question, which is the direct gene transfer method? So we gave four options, like A option is calcium phosphate mediated gene transfer. B is agrobacterium mediated gene transfer. C is viral mediated gene transfer, and D is bacillus mediated gene transfer. So for a idea, I gave the answer here, and the answer is calcium phosphate mediated gene transfer, which is a part of direct gene transfer. Another B option, C option, D option, they are all indirect method of gene transfer. So thank you.